I get to teach English with the Afghan families living here in Norman through the Spero project.
I joined a year and a half ago, and that was around the time where Spero was growing really rapidly.
They're a nonprofit in Oklahoma City. There's 125 million displaced people in the world, which means that because of violence or their home has turned into a war zone or they're under persecution, they have to leave their country. They don't have a place to go. They have everything taken from them. A lot of them have lost family members or left them back in the danger that they ran from. A lot of them just find refugee camp. That's like a temporary solution, but the average stay right now in a refugee camp is 26 years. After all of that, less than 1% of the 125 million get the chance to be resettled in another country.
As things always do, Spero is continuing to change with a new political landscape, things like that. And Spero is kind of shrinking back down because a lot of that funding for the resettlement is gone.
Well, I read in his word that God cares about the least of these, so I asked him, like, who's the least of these and who has had everything taken from them, and God gave me a heart for refugees.
I learned a lot in books about people who weren't born here, and then getting to be at Spero, I got to not only be around people from Oklahoma and the surrounding states that are just like fiercely devoted to loving their neighbor in whatever way possible. And that's transformative just on its own. But also being around people who have had lives that are like almost completely opposite and dissimilar to mine. And getting to hear their perspectives on the world and getting to see how they love one another and how they welcome me.
Even though our neighbors, our cousins come from different backgrounds and haven't heard the gospel, don't know Jesus, I think they show us Jesus.
We use language like neighbor because it goes both ways.
One thing that God's taught me through this is just how much the church reflects heaven even more as we add people different than us and welcome people into the church body. Like as we add every tribe and nation and tongue to the church, we reflect heaven more.
Looking at Jesus' love and how just time and time again, he would find a line that man had drawn and said, this is where the love of man stops. And time again, Jesus would say that's where the love of God continues. And just getting to see that in the lives of the people that I meet and the people that I work with, I can't put into words how transformative that's been for me.
It's been like the most humbling and like richest experience of my life, really, to get to know these people.
One of the realities of moving to a new country is you're having to kind of build a lot of things from the ground up all at the same time. As kind of federal programs go away, as resettlement goes away, the reality is that these people are still our neighbors and they're still here. And so I think there's, like concrete monetary ways where it's like you can donate things to Spero, but I think the more impactful thing would just be to look for ways that bridge the gap between you and a neighbor.
You can give financially, of course, there's always that need, but they have tons of ways you can get involved, like playing sports or going to doctor's appointments or teaching people to drive, this kind of thing. Yeah. But the biggest thing that I want to encourage you is just to foster like a heart of empathy and humility in your life. And one way you can do this is just noticing in scripture, like where God tells the story of someone who's displaced or travel, like a migrant or a refugee in scripture, and it's everywhere.
Spero is one organization that is trying to love this vulnerable people group that is facing, this loss of resources, this loss of support, in some cases deportation. And what we can do as Christ followers is through supporting Spero or just through loving our neighbors in our own lives, just trying to bridge those gaps and trying to radically love past the lines that men that don't value that connection have drawn. And so I would say the most impactful thing would just be to call people friend and be open to being called friend.
No one is ready to welcome you into a friendship, welcome you into their lives like internationals. And so I encourage you to come experience welcome, extend welcome at Nations Regroup.